What if your mood isn't all in your head, but actually starts in your gut? On today's episode, we're diving into the surprising science behind how your gut talks to your brain and the counterintuitive ways that your daily habits might be holding you back from feeling your best. Hi everyone, it's Natalie here. If you've been feeling low on energy, maybe a bit off, or just not quite yourself lately, you're absolutely going to want to hear today's episode. I'm joined by Sylvia Hall, founder of Lifted Naturals, and a true expert when it comes to the gut-brain connection. We're going to dive deep into how gut health directly impacts your mood, even if you think you're living a pretty healthy lifestyle. Sylvia shares her own story of postpartum mood struggles, coming off of medication, and how those challenges led her to build a business rooted in healing. We'll talk about why the right probiotics can actually boost your mood, the surprising power of sunlight and quality sleep, and the small, doable shifts that can make a big difference. You'll also hear practical tips for supporting your kids' gut health, the truth about diet myths, and how to add in the good stuff rather than cutting everything out. And yes, we even get into the nitty-gritty of probiotic labels, product transparency, that's a big one, and how to find a supplement that actually works for you. Before we jump in today, I've got a free resource that I'd love for you to grab. It's called the Gut Reset Plan, and it's designed to help you feel better from the inside out. You can download it now. I have put the link right in the show notes to make it easy for you. I'm excited for you to get started on this and to feel better every day. So whether you're driving, walking, or just settling in with a cup of tea, get ready because this conversation might just change the way you take care of yourself and your family. If you enjoy real, empowering conversations like this one, be sure to hit subscribe and join my weekly newsletter for extra health tips and encouragement. Let's get started today. Sylvia, thank you for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Natalie. I'm excited to be here.
So the gut-brain connection to mood is a really big issue, but one that I don't think is widely known. Tell me your past and how you got started in your business, and let's just kick it off with that.
Yeah, so my story starts with struggle. It was my own personal struggle and frustration with feeling like I knew there had to be a better way to feel better. I knew there had to be better solutions than what were being offered to me. And it was impacting my life in a very serious way. I felt like I wasn't showing up for my kids. I wasn't able to just enjoy my life. And that frustration led to kind of a resolution to find a better answer. And when I discovered the gut-brain connection and this idea that the gut talks to the brain and the brain is talking to the gut, and it's a two-way communication. Really, it was that. That's really the emphasis when we talk about the gut-brain connection, is that it's a two-way combo that's happening. That's when it changed for me, because I realized I don't think my gut and my brain are talking very clearly to one another. I don't think they're speaking the same language. And so from that experience and that struggle, I just started to do my own research, and that was really what led to the start of Lifted Naturals. I'm sure we'll get more into that in a bit, but it was my own struggle, my own frustration, and then that discovery, because I was someone who had been dealing with mood ups and downs after having my kids, and also just digestive struggles, and that's really where that gut-brain connection comes into play big time.
Let's talk about, as a journalist, I like to talk about the science. And I don't think we've known this for a long time. I mean, at least in my research, give me kind of the background and the science on how our gut and our mood work together.
Sure. So those neurotransmitters that we all know and love that we're told help us feel good, GABA, dopamine, serotonin's thrown in the mix, but I think it's a misunderstood neurotransmitter. But frankly, there's a lot of them. And those are actually made in our gut. And so when we can support our microbiome to further harmonize with those feel-good neurotransmitters, then life gets a lot simpler or easier. But unfortunately, a lot of our modern stressful lifestyle, so whether it's just the fast pace and the high cortisol, or it's the foods we're eating that have been sprayed with things that maybe aren't so good for our microbiome, it's a combination of factors, but it really does impact, or maybe we've wiped out all of our good bacteria for various reasons that were necessary. That can really lead to a disrupted microbiome. And previously we would maybe grow our own food and we would get more probiotic bacteria and more vitamins and minerals from our foods. But now that's been diminished as well. And so I just feel like it's created this crisis where our guts are struggling and our mood is taking the biggest hit. And it's really that, like I said, a combination of factors: stress, lifestyle in general, sleep, sun exposure, that all is connected to our microbiome. And so it was for me this big aha of gut-brain connection, but how to support that. And from there, I began to learn about how very specific strains of feel-good bacteria could help to support those neurotransmitters. So when it comes to classification of probiotics, it's classified like this: genus, species, strain. And the strain is that hyper-specific type of probiotic. And that was what I was narrowed in on when I began to do my research. Which very specific strains have been shown to help with mood, help with the nervous system, help with cortisol, help to literally just take that load off, that tightness that we're all feeling, and help to harmonize our body. And so for me, it was discovering, yes, there's a gut-brain connection. Yes, there's two-way communication. And yes, there's a classification of probiotic types that are more well known to be stress supportive, mood supportive, and neurotransmitter supportive.
I think what's tough for a lot of people is they think, overall, I'm pretty healthy. Like, I don't eat a lot of fast food. I eat salad. Like, they think, if I'm just a normal person, why do I need these extra things? And you mentioned, probably 20, 30 years ago, we didn't have as many things in our diet that were harmful: pesticides, chemicals, all of that. But for just a normal, healthy, average person, are these the people that are struggling?
I mean, I think we know if we're struggling. Like for me, I felt a frustration and irritation. Like I felt like I knew there had to be a better way to feel better. And now I will say I'm very more self-aware, perhaps a little more sensitive to my surroundings. So if you don't consider yourself someone who's paying attention, that would be my very first invitation today, is to just start to pay attention to how you feel. A lot of times we normalize how we're feeling, and sometimes it's a normalization of not really feeling that good. We're pretty low energy. We're not really excited about too many projects. We're not really, in the fast lane of our own life, driving the bus. We're just a passenger, and we're along for the ride, and we're kind of tired, and we'd like some snacks packed into the back seat, please. So the first invitation is maybe to hop into that driver's side so that you can really get back to the kind of life you're meant to live. And I'll tell you, before I started Lifted Naturals, I was laying my head on my pillow at night, and there was a gap between where I wanted to be and where I knew I could be. There was a yearning for something bigger, more. And to this day, Lifted Naturals has been in business 8 years now. I don't feel like I quite have that feeling. Now, there's still times where I'm like, I need to pivot or I need to try something new. But there was a very strong knowing there was something I was meant to do, and I just hadn't quite done it yet. And so I feel like if you're in that place now, like, it really does start with that awareness of, oh my gosh, that is me. I do feel like an itch or a yearning, a nudge, a longing to do something more. And I'm not talking always about creating a business and, changing lives in the biggest of ways. Sometimes it's a simple shift of like, I always say I love the water, but I never go see the ocean. Or I always say I love to travel, but I keep putting it off. It can be the simplest thing, but I do think that our soul is speaking to us sometimes in whispers and sometimes in screams, and it starts with paying attention.
Yeah, you just said something that that I resonated with, and I did a morning show, and so I was up at 2:30 in the morning, and the afternoons were just like that drag every day. So I could easily equate my feelings to lack of sleep. But for other people, and I normalized that. I totally normalized. I just always felt like crap. And that was just my norm until I stopped doing that. And I started this and got off of that grind. I was like, wow, there's a life outside of feeling like crap. And I think other people do that just in their mood, where
their own ways,
sad.
right?
Right. They're sad, or they feel, depression is a real thing. We know that. But for some people, just that sadness or just that feeling of longing of something or anxiety, all of those things, they've normalized it to where they think that just is their life or who they are. And there are things that you can do to help that. Sometimes it is medication, but sometimes you can do something else. And I know that's where you come in. You can do something else to get the results you want.
Yeah,
you might
for
not
me,
know you need.
Yeah. For me, it just was a matter of not being happy with the results I was getting. And so I was like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to feel better. And I absolutely, when you said I used to wake up 2:30 in the morning, I was just going to let you know, that's actually still the night. And that's when I get my best sleep. 2, 3, 4, 5. These are very key times of sleep. And I found that even 1 hour more of sleep makes a profound difference in my mood and how I show up. And so, yes, sleep is a very important aspect. And like I said, sunlight, if you're inside all day and you think it's okay because you have a lot of windows, I'm here to say you're wrong. And I'm sorry about that, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's not letting in all of the rays that your body, your eyes, your skin needs. And if you're someone who burns, this is not medical advice, just personal experience. If you go outside in the morning, you can slowly build up a callus. You can slowly allow your body to get used to those rays so that if you do need to be outside in the middle of the day, maybe watching a soccer game or something, your skin might be able to handle the heat a little better, the rays a bit better. But you have to expose yourself to those morning rays, and the sunset rays are also useful. So gradually building up to that, or even I'm just talking about stepping outside and intentionally taking the long way so you get 10 minutes of sunlight from your car to your office. That makes a big difference. That signals to your body, hey, it's morning. Here, it's time to do the morning hormones, chemicals, biological routines. But if you don't send those signals and you don't let your body know that it's morning, it gets very confused. Our bodies are innately wise, and yet our modern lifestyles are not as wise. And so we're not getting all of the signals that we need. And so that really bright blue light at night, very confusing to our systems. A lack of morning sunlight to our skin and eyes, very confusing to our system. And there's research that shows there's a connection of our gut microbiome and this sunlight exposure. So these are very simple things you can do. Of course, I would love for people to check out our mood probiotics. We have 4 different ones, but I'm never here to say, just take a probiotic and keep going and keep your head under the radar. And just, it's always about simple shifts that can make a big impact, that create momentum so that when you feel better, you can do more and really live your life that you're here to live.
Yeah. And I'm really big on, and like your take on this, on the routines. Because if we know and our body knows what to expect, then we're just going to be better. And it's also like, some things are just boring when they're routine. If you eat the same thing every day, you're going to be bored. But if you get up, you take the walk, you come back, you shower, you eat something healthy, like your body gets used, you go to bed at the same time, you get the same amount of sleep, like those routines they're really good for us.
Yeah. I think some systems are perhaps more benefited by that. So I'm a big advocate for understanding that our nervous system is driving our bus a lot of the time. So if you feel safe in your body and in your life, then when you eat foods, you'll be able to digest them better. When you go to pursue something kind of big and scary, you'll be able to pursue it. So that nervous system is just designed, our brain wants to keep us safe and our nervous system wants to sense that safety. And so for some people, routine can really signal that safety. And also it's just a way of making it a habit. I go on walks. It's just who I am, right? It's not a choice. It's just what I do. I go outside a lot. It's just who I am. It's what I do. It's not like a difficult decision. It's if I see the sun is out or I want to go enjoy the day, I step outside and I enjoy it. So I think that for some people, it can be really beneficial to just solidify those habits so that it's not something you have to think about. And I'm absolutely a big believer in the power of walking as well. I've actually seen so many things that are like, you don't really have to run. You can just walk and you get so many benefits. And if you want to run, that's great. But I think a lot of times we beat ourselves up for not being runners. And really just going for a walk is wildly beneficial in so many ways. You're getting that fresh air, you're getting the blood pumping, you're getting the natural light I talked about. A lot of times when you get moving, your creativity starts flowing. And for me, that really is the essence of feeling good, is tapping into our creativity. And I think our society kind of makes creativity into this thing like throwing a pot or baking brownies or something very concrete like making a painting. No. Creativity is the expression that your soul is yearning for. And so, you talked earlier about the deep, deep downsies. And to me, that's really a repression. It's the very opposite of expression, which is when we are living authentically as our most creative self. And like I said, that doesn't mean necessarily painting or drawing. It really is about how we're living and staying awake to the moment and not just going into autopilot.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about some of these probiotics. Let's talk about what they are, how you designed them to enhance mood, what happens with the gut when we have those probiotics.
Sure. So the very first formula we started with is called Mood Boosting Probiotic, and that was and continues to be our top seller. It's the very first thing we launched. It was the premise of starting Lifted Naturals, and it has 9 different feel-good strains of probiotic bacteria plus the prebiotic GOS. So I'll just quickly share. Probiotics are live bacteria. Prebiotics are fiber that feed that live bacteria. Synergistically, they then work together to further get that good bacteria where it needs to go. However, if you're somebody who's struggling with a lot of digestive struggles, you might not want that prebiotic. And so a lot of times that can add further issues if you're already struggling with some bloating or digestive issues. So that's why we have 2 formulas that are with probiotics and prebiotics and 2 that are probiotic only. Additionally, once we created that first formula, I started to get a lot of feedback from people like, hey, I'd love to take this, but I actually struggle with histamine issues. And so from there, it was about researching which strains will not cause a histamine response. And I feel like more and more people have been struggling with that. And so being able to offer formulas that are sensitive for histamine, sensitive individuals has been really positive for our brand and also for the customers looking for these solutions. Let's see. So as far as creating it though, I'll take a step back. It was really a matter of going through my research as far as these strains are popping up the most when it comes to helping with mood, helping with stress, helping with those neurotransmitters I was talking about, and narrowing it down to those. And then once I had an idea in mind of what formula I wanted, that's when I started to call around to different manufacturers in the United States. And I said, hey, I'm looking to have this custom formula made. It was a matter of picking up the phone. And various manufacturers were saying, oh, we don't do that, or oh, we have a probiotic, you can put your name on it. I'm like, I don't want to put my name on your junk formula. I've got something big, something good. It was like right away I knew I had something different. And I was tapping into my own sensitivities because I was trying out different probiotics on myself. And that wild kind of like golden retriever look in your eye when there's a tennis ball, like I was researching strains that could help with mood. I was looking for that natural support. And so I had a very specific end in mind, a very specific goal that I was looking to create with our formulas. So I was able to find a manufacturer that, was GMP certified and in the United States, and was able to create a good partnership with them as far as, can you help bring my vision to life? Because I like to clarify, and not everybody wants to talk about this, but I'm actually not like a scientific genius. I am simply a mom who wanted better solutions and wanted my creativity back. I wanted to take something that helped me to feel better, but didn't take away all the things that were most important to me. And so it was kind of leaning in on my strengths and being willing to lean on others for their strengths, like the chemists and lab team at the manufacturer. So kind of bringing that vision to life meant presenting them with, here's my formulation that I'm wanting to do, and then kind of running that by them as far as what can we say on the label, and does this qualify for this or that claim? And yeah, that has been another really big aspect that I like to talk about, because it's like, how can one person be everything? Hey, no one person is everything, ever. And so being willing to express that, you don't have to be somebody you're not. You don't have to be everything to everyone, right? Instead, it's just about tapping into your own unique gifts. And for me, that is like creative problem solving and bringing that research into a finalized finished product.
Yeah. So here you are 8 years later. Tell me some of the success stories. Give me some of the people where they were, yourself included, and where they are now. Okay.
So do you mean in regard to like the mood experience of what they've had, or because I also would love to share
your gut? Sure. Yeah. Both. Well, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, a lot of people share things that unfortunately cannot be posted or shared here. As a supplement company, I have to follow a strict set of rules. We actually did get a slap on the wrist a couple years back from the FDA. Just some reviews that customers are using no words. So that was a real, I'm going to be honest, dark night of the soul for me, because I was like, I'm creating these really cool results for people. They're experiencing really great benefits from my products, and I can't fully talk about it. And it was a bit of a frustrating time. I was even told, you can't really tell your story the way you're telling it, because we hired a compliance agency, because we know we have a lot of customers that really rely on our products and they need us to stay in business. So I take that.
So we have to back up just a second, because
I'm sure we do.
we have to back up a second, because I was a health reporter, and my frustration too. So without telling their stories, what are the rules? I'm a big believer in supplementation, in vitamins, in natural health. But for people who don't know, what kinds of rules are you being told you can't talk about when you're actually helping people?
So we can use no diagnoses words like depression, anxiety, IBS. Even the word inflammation was like, maybe stay away from that. This is from our compliance agency. We can also not use any words like heal, treat, prevent, fix, or cure. Those are the big 5 no-nos. So at our company,
so how do you promote
we support mood naturally? Can't you tell? Yeah, I had a very serious struggle with more mainstream offerings for mood support that made me feel completely terrible and made me feel like I needed that. And what I experienced was actually that I was simply addicted to a drug, and I was told, this is probably like this, one of the compliance agents, maybe don't mention this story, but this is like the root of why I created my company. So I go back and forth on what I can and can't share. And I do, like I said, my top priority is to stay in business to serve my customers, not to stroke my ego and come on here and say, hey, look at this, I overcame this and that. That's really not the goal, but to really be able to have people relate. I think so many people don't understand the veil that is over their mind. And then they think, because my doctor said, if you'd like to stop taking this, take half for a couple weeks, then take half, and then you should be good to go. I was not good to go, Natalie. I was very bad to go when I tried it that way.
Was this a depression drug, if I can ask?
Yeah, it was. Okay. It was after I had my kids. It was it was an antidepressant. And so I was on that, and I was not feeling well. And, so I was told, take half, then half, then you should be good. I was not good. I was bad. It was the worst of the mood issues were when I tried to come off of that medicine. And if you're not told about that, then you think, oh, well, I must need this. But instead, I began to learn more. And I learned about the gut-brain connection from Kelly Brogan's book, A Mind of Your Own. And from there, began to learn more about it from a book called Your Drug May Be the Problem. And I learned that very sensitive people like myself cannot go take half, then you're good. And so I actually bought a scale and a pill cutter, and over the course of 13 months, very slowly tricked my body that I wasn't even lowering the dose. Like, no, this is the same amount, Sylvie. This is the same amount. You're good, And I just went so slow with it that after 13 months, there was nothing left. There's a teeny tiny crumb that I was taking for a little bit, and it was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm good. I've successfully stopped taking what I didn't want to take based on the way it was impacting me. Period.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just say, I thank you for sharing your story. And I know that's got to be really hard when you know the benefits of what you're doing and how you did it, but you can't use the words. But I will just say the greatest advice that I've been able to give people as a health reporter is to empower yourself, learn just like you did. Get the books, do the research, listen to the right people, figure it out, and don't just rely on one person or even one doctor. Get another opinion. The best thing you can do is empower yourself. And you did that in a lot of ways. So kudos to you in helping yourself and then using that to help other people.
Thank you. So yeah, there's lots of great stories that come in, and they're called reviews, and then we have to sometimes decline them because they use too many words or, some words that we're not allowed to post on our website. But as a reflection of the success of our products, I would love to share that after growing our company for 3 years, my husband was able to quit his job as an engineer and come on full time with Lifted Naturals. And that was only possible because we continue to sell. We have a lot of repeat customers. We move a lot of product, and that is because it is useful and it helps people. And so that success story, excuse me, was really big because it was really showcasing that these products are helpful. Prior to, this idea of Lifted and then the company, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was always growing a side business, always something. I was actually growing a coaching practice, but finding myself trading time for dollars and time strapped. And to be able to leverage into a product-based business that's much more scaled, that is truly a business and not just self-employed, that was a really big shift. So for him to be able to quit his job and enjoy this entrepreneurial life now 5 years together has been a really big personal achievement that came from a brand that was successful and with products that actually help people.
Well, because I know you at least have one child, because that's how this journey started for you. How does this work for kids? Especially because we do see kids with so many mood up and down. I won't use anxiety, depression, but we do see kids with mood issues. How does your product, and what advice do you have for parents who have kids struggling?
Sure. So on our bottle, it does say 18 and under, talk to your practitioner. Mm-hmm. And it's not really because there's anything in our products that are inherently more adult focused. It's probiotics and prebiotics. The same thing you could find in a yogurt or a granola bar that adds prebiotics into them, but it's just about those specific strains. And so if you do have a kiddo who is struggling with mood, maybe had some bacteria wiped out, then they would probably benefit from a mood probiotic. So yeah, like I said, the bottle says talk to your doctor. There's nothing about the product that's like I said, it's not an herb that is only safe for over this age. It's not like that at all. It's more just about the dose. So the really cool thing about our probiotics is that you can open the capsule and sprinkle a little bit into like a smoothie or some applesauce. And so if you have a smaller bodied individual that needs that mood support or would benefit, you can just open the capsule, sprinkle a little in. Even sensitive people. A lot of sensitive people benefit from going slow when they first start, so they don't have that sudden influx of good bacteria. Take a bottle out of the capsule. You can use that for a week or two just to get your system used to it. And then once you are, feeling good with that, you can, go up to a half a capsule or even a full capsule. But that ability to go slow when you first start is great for sensitive people, smaller bodied people. And it allows you to be able to maybe mix and match, because with 4 different formulas, some people actually like the benefits of more than one formula, and you can mix those up too.
Yeah. Well, talking about things we need to add to our diet, I think it's important that we talk about things to avoid that mess up the gut biome. Are there things you would say you can do these things to be good, but you gotta avoid? Is it greasy food or caffeine, or are there things we're doing wrong?
This is a heated area. So being in the wellness being in the wellness world for 8 years, I feel like more often than not, do you know the type of people that I actually encounter? They are people that have gotten so worried about their diet that the stress about what to eat and what not to eat is causing more harm than the foods they're trying to avoid or procure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is a very common phenomenon in the wellness world. And to me, that is not wellness. That is further trouble. And so I don't really love a lot of restriction. I prefer more to focus on the foods that when you eat them, you feel good. And I think a lot of times we do know what those are. From a perspective of gut health, I will say that grains are soft. And so when you spray them with chemicals, they absorb them. If you think about an apple getting sprayed, it might try to penetrate that peel, but the peel is very strong. The innate wisdom of nature says, I'm going to block that. So if you eat an apple that's been sprayed versus eating grains that have been sprayed, the apple does not have as high of a content of that spray. That's kind of the perspective I take. And so I actually think that when we eat, if we balance fat, protein, and carbs, we generally feel our best. And when I say carbs, I think it's important to note that if I just said grains are generally maybe more toxic, we'll just say. There's a lot of other carbs that are not. So you can do an organic white rice. You could do potatoes. There's, by incorporating those foods as your carbs, I feel like it's wildly silly to avoid that if you mix the fat, protein, and carbs. So for example, if I have a glass of orange juice with some cheese, that feels very balanced to me. If I do just the juice, sometimes I'll feel a little off. If I do just the cheese, it's a little heavy. But for me, that balance of the fat, protein, and carb, that's the route I've experienced to feel my best. And I do think there's some people that maybe do better with a little less sugar, and some people that actually do just fine with a little bit more. And I know that's counterculture too. But if you type in what is the brain's primary source of energy, it's going to say glucose, and glucose is sugar. What is the body's primary source of fuel? It's going to say glucose. Glucose is sugar. So we've been told sugar is bad, and I don't think that's the full story. But that's not really like my number one platform that I'm here to share or say. Yeah. It's just a personal journey that now that I'm in this world, I get, asked about, or I personally feel like, I need to get a stance on this. Like, what do I believe? And sometimes that hyper focus of what to eat or what not to eat, to me, can lead to trouble. But generally speaking, I will also say a fried food, I've never seen that been in the column of like, this is actually good for you. Mm-hmm. Whereas like orange juice, someone would debate, that's too much sugar, and I'm here to say it's got vitamins, it's got minerals, it's got an ability to feed that good bacteria because it's a prebiotic. So I guess if I had to put a food in the bad category of like, let's not eat it too much, it would probably be fried foods. And of course I love a fried mozzarella stick sometimes. So here we are, right? Sometimes.
Yeah. But it's balanced like we talk about with everything, right?
Absolutely.
And then focusing on, I like it that you do that. Focus on the good things. Focus on helping the gut bacteria and all of that. If you focus on that and some of the good foods, you're going to be much better off. So, okay. Well, we've had a lot of good information here. I want people to also know where to find you, and I will put all of that in the show notes. But if you want to mention where they can find your product and your website and information, that'd be great.
Yeah. So liftednaturals.com is the best place to go. From there, you'll see that we direct you either to our online shop or actually directly to Amazon as well. A lot of small businesses don't do that. Even if they do sell on Amazon, they want you to buy directly from them. But as a mom and household shopper, I know how handy that Amazon Prime is. I know how fun it is to get something the next day. So I'm not even going to try to keep that away. All of our products are available on Amazon and directly in our online shop. Also, if you're a Walmart shopper, Walmart online, you can find our products there. It's a little harder to navigate as far as that goes. And yeah, if you go to our website, there's a little pop-up that says sign up for our newsletter. And that's probably the best way to stay in touch. If you like, what we're doing over here, we send a couple emails a week or so, one or two, just sharing insights, inspiration, product information. And yeah, so liftednaturals.com is the best place to go for that.
Sylvia, thanks so much. I appreciate your expertise and best of luck with the business. I love what you're doing.
Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for joining the Natalie Tysdal Podcast. You can follow along on Instagram and at natalietysdal.com. Subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave a review so I can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next week.